make brand new boxes, and be like, all right, time for supper. And then it's like, no, I got to hurry back now. I got a bunch of boxes.
Break those boxes back down.
I was tearing down and building the same boxes up all summer.
That's funny. I remember you reading through a good portion of the Goosebumps library.
Oh, yeah.
As well, while on guard. I feel like when I was on guard for you napping, I probably just worked slowly mostly. Yeah. Like I was like, well, I'll keep myself busy doing something or other. Then someone would knock at the door and I'd like have to hurry over to you, be like, Matthew. And you'd like fall off of the shelf. And then, because it was always on the top shelf. Like it was always like an 8-foot high shelf that we'd be sleeping on. Fall off the shelf, and then it'd be like, oh, hey, what do you need? Oh, yeah, that kind of bolt? Well, how big? Okay, let me see. Right here. How many? 4? Great. All right, see ya. And then you climb back up onto your shelf and roll back up into that roll of bubble wrap.
Yeah, never get a moment's peace.
Oh, man, endless. Actually, because we were also doing overtime at that point, if you recall.
Yeah, the second half of our work days were a cakewalk.
Yeah, it was like, well, no one's coming. Let's just do some slow work so progress is being made.
Yeah.
And, alternate sleeping, and then we'll go for dinner.
Yeah. Go for however long a dinner we want. That was the best
No,
job.
because we had to clock out and clock back in. I felt like we were pretty strict about our dinner break.
I remember there were days where you just wanted to leave early, and you were like, clock me out at midnight. I'm going to leave. It's supper time now, but I'll do the same for you another day. So I don't think we were that strict.
Okay, good point. But one of us had to be back from dinner to clock ourselves back in.
Yeah.
So we had to be relatively strict with our dinner.
Yeah. Man, we had it good. Why aren't jobs like that anymore?
Well, it wasn't that good. It was still a pretty minimum wage and especially once we'd counted everything. That was just a portion of it. Most of that was like lugging around huge pipes. I remember the first day that we worked there, it was like they looked at the two of us and we were like screwing some little bits together. And they were like, so we need someone to help carry this huge steel pipe. All right, Sebastian, you're doing it.
Yeah.
And then like for the rest of the summer, I kept getting called over to help carry these huge pipes.
Yeah, you're the pipe boy.
I was pipe boy. I was a lot stronger back then. I was a little more heavy set and a little stronger back then.
I feel like you're stronger now than you were 10 years ago.
I'm going to tell you that's wrong. That's definitely wrong.
Huh. Okay. Oh. So like a 20-year-old version of you would beat you up and win?
I might have more strategy now. Just a little bit. And maybe a more of a never say die attitude than young self.
Oh yeah, now you're yeah, because I figured the 20-year-old you would know that would think you're invincible, but the 30-year-old you was like, oh, this might hurt my back and it'll affect me.
That's a good point, but I think I would take 20-year-old me, even though 20-year-old me would be stronger. I feel like and 20-year-old me versus current me probably just as dirty of a fighter.
I remember the fights we had.
But now I'm wondering if, let's say, I gouge out 20-year-old my eye.
Oh.
Do I immediately lose an eye?
That's a drastic fight. Why would you do that?
Well, I mean, if we're really going at it, it's a hypothetical.
I'm glad I didn't fight with you more than I did.
But if I gouge out an eye, do I lose my future eye, my current eye?
Yeah.
If I gouge out past self's eye?
Yeah. So it's added, it's incentive not to hurt yourself that much.
Yeah, only enough, like don't break a bone really, because if it's 10 years of healing, that still might be a little screwy, but I guess not that bad. I gotta do no permanent damage to myself. It'd be tough, but I think I'd win that fight. I think it'd be hard to knock over younger me, really stable on his younger feet, but I think I'd have a little more strategy. Yeah.
You might need to use some verbal abuse. You know things about the future Sebastian. You can kind of scare him into a little ball.
I mean, I guess I've taken all the lumps of 10 years of life of disappointments. I could be like, get ready for 10 years of shit, young me, and then I beat him up with 10 years of experience of life beating me up. Is that how that works?
Basically, yeah. You're gonna
every punch is another decade of disappointment.
Yeah, you don't have to lay a finger on him. And then
I just tell young me about where I stand now and how he's got a lot of disappointment. Maybe I in that same way that gouging out my past eye would ruin my current eye. Maybe I would scare some sense into young me, and I'd suddenly be in a better standing in life.
Yeah. It's like the Jacob Marley coming down to visit. You'd be like,
I'd be the ghost of Christmas future or past.
Yeah,
I'd be a ghost.
The ghost of Seba.
The ghost
past,
of Seba future.
Present and future. You'd be all the Sebas, but yeah, you kind of you show him that, and then he's well, I don't know. I'm not saying you're not eating beans out of a can with one good tooth and everything.
No, that's true. That's true.
I feel like 20-year-olds as a whole are just really ambitious.
Yeah.
And
20-year-old me expected a lot more out of 30-year-old me.
Yeah.
Than 30-year-old me has achieved.
Maybe we need to for us to meet the 40-year-old versions of ourselves, though.
Oh yeah, maybe the next 10 years is where it all comes to form, or it's a clear shot from here to there. Where it's like, oh yeah, that's right about where I ought to land up in 10 more years. Yeah.
Wait, based on the trajectory of what you are
exactly.
on?
As opposed to like it's swooping up in one of these graph curves that I'm drawing with my fingers in the air right now, versus where I should actually, or I huh? I just mathed myself out.
That's
now,
all right.
On the topic of math, Matthew, you were asking me today about tipping.
Yeah.
And I am a very good tipper, I would say, mostly on the basis that I am bad at math.
Yeah.
That I generally do a estimated 20% after tax, which is a pretty great tip because I'm not subtracting the tax and then doing 20%. There's too much math involved. I generally do a rounded up past 20% tip. Jesus. So I give a great tip because I'm that bad at math. Matthew, with math in your name, you are better at math than I am.
Yeah. I don't know about that, but...
well, maybe not like high school, let's sit down and do our math test but as far as doing some basic multiplication in your mind, it would seem to me that you're quicker at it than me. I forget exactly what the equation was that I threw out to you before. I'm like, well, let's say it's $25 and I gotta leave a 15% tip. You're like, well, it's $3.75.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, see, there you go. I'm not doing that.
It's all written.
I do 20% because it's easier for me to do the math.
It's written on the receipt, though. You get your receipt. It's going to show you the price, then the tax, and then the price with the tax added to it. You just take
it's basic subtraction there, yeah.
And you got that in your name. No, you don't. Subtraction. That kind of seems like maybe you got some good
Sebastian subtraction. I see what you're saying.
But it also kind of sounds maybe like you're really good at holding your ground when you're rolling. Get some good traction on those.
Oh, okay. Oh, subtraction. Okay, I see what you're saying.
There you go.
We got holding the ground when you're rolling. Is that how you described it? So, Matthew, what were you saying about tipping earlier?
I don't like it. I don't want to have to. You read these articles sometimes, and it's like, well, if you can't afford to leave the appropriate tip, then you can't afford to be eating out. And I was like, no, I can afford the price that's advertised, and anything, if I'm expected to leave more money, then that's false advertising. Because
you are. What about taxes?
Yeah, but taxes, I'm okay with taxes because
you factor the taxes in before you go, okay, well, this is a $20 meal.
But
I'm not going to be, if I come with a crisp $20 bill, I won't have enough money.
Yeah, but you have to do that. Like taxes it's going to be illegal if you don't pay it. I don't have to pay tip to anyone, and nobody is going to penalize me for it, other than maybe damaging my food next time. I enter or giving me dirty looks.
As long as you and not appreciating you and what have you.
Yeah.
But yeah, I suppose you wouldn't. You'd be able to get away with not paying the actual taxes, the sales tax on your food. You wouldn't be able to do it.
No.
But tip, you can get away with not tipping. But either way, like it's the same argument of the not advertised price. Basically, you got to figure whenever you're going to a restaurant, the price that's on the menu, you got to add 30% for at least 15% tips and 15% taxes here in Quebec. We have high taxes.
I don't like it. I don't believe in it. I feel like if you're expecting this tip, if this tip is part of the price, then it's not a tip, because you shouldn't be expecting a tip. The moment you're expecting a tip, the moment you're counting on a tip, it's not a tip anymore. Now it's just, oh, I'm paying your salary now because, and I'm not blaming it on the people who are expecting these tips.
Sure.
But at some point in this whole routine, people are being paid less because they're expected to make more money in tips. But I don't want to be paying their wages.
You understand that it's basically the same thing. If they include that tip price, the service price in the bill, and raise the bill, it's the same thing as you paying their wages. Yeah, but now food everywhere you go is a little more expensive. But it is not. It's the exact same, really.
It's just such a backwards way. Like, just tell me how much it costs, and don't be like, well, you should be giving this. Like, you can get away with not giving me anything, but you're not paying the right price.
See, now I think you should be tipping. Period. You should
all the
be
time.
Tipping. Yeah, you should always be
terrible
tipping.
Service.
If you have terrible service, you should be tipping badly to give emphasis that the service is terrible. So, like, if I have really terrible service, I might give like a 8 or 10% tip. If it's like just god awful service, they're still gonna get a little tip. But I want them to know through my tip. My tip is my message to my server of how good or bad this service was. Usually I'm giving a 15 to 20%, maybe a little higher. And if they're exceptional, I might go as high as 25 or perhaps even higher, depending on how expensive that tip is. If I've got a $100 meal, I'm probably not going to give a 30% tip because that's getting a little much. But I'll definitely give a 20 to 25 if I have exceptional service.
If there's enough math to do.
Yeah, it depends on the math. Yeah. Like, really, I'm giving 20 normally. Depending on the math, that's where we get the 20, 23% because I'm bad at math. But really, you should kind of always be tipping, ABT, always be tipping, but you tip according to service to a certain extent. But if everything was fine, it's 15% to me. I understand your point, but if they just include, I also understand the point of a restaurant of not raising their prices 15% across the board and eliminating tips. And at the same time, also, if you go to a decent enough restaurant and you have decent enough clients as the server there that night, people will give you more than 15% because you're that good, and you'll make more money that way than if the 15% was included.
I just find it sneaky. I find it underhanded, that they're going to guilt you into giving them more money.
See, now I feel like if all of society has sort of quietly agreed upon it, and you're just like, nah, not me.
Yeah, in the same way, Sebastien, that you don't want to take the designated pathways that are given to you. If there's a way that if you can get out of a building faster than the way that they want you to get out of a building, you'll take that.
That's a good point.
I'm thinking the same thing where I shouldn't be responsible for paying somebody's salary. I feel bad that they aren't making the money.
But you are.
But I shouldn't be.
When you buy your sandwich, a portion of those profits are going to pay the staff.
But that should be included in the price is what I'm saying. Because what other places? I don't go to Chapters, buy a book, and if somebody helped me out, I give them extra money. That's all included in their price.
Yeah.
Maybe they have commission.
See, but even then, I feel like the value of a book is not as changed by the person saying, here's the book you'd like, as a meal, right? Because most of the time you have with a book is alone reading that book. Most of the time you have with a meal, there's someone there to help you pick your meal, to bring it to you, to ask if everything's good, if they need to bring it back so that it's right for you. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Well, you can have that at a
bookstore,
Chapters
isn't dropping by your place when you're done chapter 1 to be like, hey, how's the book going?
They could, and they could, at least while I'm there, they could be like, oh, would you, I see you're getting the paperback. Would you like a hardcover, sir, for only an extra $8? Can I interest you in a bookmark, or will you be just folding the tips of the pages down?
I see.
Will you?
You gonna